Okay, so as I mentioned before, this is the first subject, PB1, is understanding society from sociological perspective. This topic actually consists of 3 parts, subtopics, recent social phenomenon or phenomena. If we already actually talk about that, and then sociological concept in understanding society, and then research and application of sociology. I'm going to talk very quickly this part because we have already discussed, and I think that's you already get the point. You know, what are the social phenomena? So it can be like anything social issues like conflict, in social interaction, and so on. So this is basically the social phenomenon. Okay, as an introduction, Sharon 1980 defines sociology. Basically, sociology seeks to understand the social condition of human by focusing on society, social organization, social issues, institution, interaction, and social problems. So this is actually the focus of sociology. It's quite a bit different, not very different, of course, with other social sciences, like, for example, we are very close to anthropology, actually, but anthropology basically focus on value system, culture, habits, and so on. So basically, that's a cultural aspect become focus of anthropology, but sociology focus more on the social organization, groups, institution, interaction, social problems, like that. The main idea of in sociology is that mankind is social. We are basically it is said actually we are all human. Human beings are social beings. Mankind is a social. In that meaning that all of us, no exception, all of us actually become we are social actors. All of us become social actors because no one of us independent of others. All of us relate one another, and actually, to some degree, to lesser or a greater degrees, all of our thought, our actions are influenced by others, and as well, we actually also influence others to a lesser or greater degrees. Whether we realize it or not, actually, we are, influenced as well as we are influenced by others, and we influence others. So this is basically the main sort of assumption and understanding from the sociological perspective. So in this case means that in the development process of humans depend on each other, social organization and society. Even the very core of our identity, actually it's not unrelated to the kind of society where we are part of. So if you are a Malaysian, stay in Malaysia, it may be very different if you stay like in Indonesia or in Europe, for example. That's going to be affect our personality, our way of thought, and our way of life also actually will be different. So it means that we are actually to some extent shaped by the society where we are part of. So that's basically the main bottom line of the principle thinking in sociology. Thus, it can be formulated, sociology is the study of social structures and social processes, including social changes. We're going to talk next 2 weeks, we're gonna talk about social structures more detail. So that's the main thrust of sociology. That's why you can see when we you the video actually showing how one another affected, you know, or interdependence one another when we see any social phenomenon. Okay, this is just recent development social issues, like for example about technological development, especially in the social media. Yeah, this just describe some positive and negative impacts of the social media on our daily life. So I don't think I need to go detail in this. You can just read later on, because I want to go to quickly to the second part of this material. And then this also have already discussed about impact of COVID-19 pandemic in our everyday life. We have already discussed about the impact on religious life, but it is also in many aspects of our life, on economy. You know, the impact on of this pandemic. It creates unemployment and also conflict, social exclusion, create new norms, and so on and support. So so I think this is basically what we want to show you from this issue. Okay, now we come to the most, I think, that I want to discuss with you. That is the second part, sociological concept in understanding society. But anyway, before I start this, if you have any comment or question from the first part of this, if you have any comment or question, you're welcome. Any? Not yet? Okay. Very silent, huh?
Sir, I want to ask,
okay.
Because we are humans, social beings, do you think it's possible for us to live on our own? I mean, without any communities? Because they always show that in movies where you're stranded in an island and you can survive, but do you think that we can actually do it?
Okay, very interesting question. During this pandemic, I think it little bit give hints, yeah, in answering your question. Anybody wants to try to respond to the question? I think I just stopped share screen for a while. I want to see, and then anybody wants to comment to Atira question? Can we like live alone, you know, without interacting with others, sort of? Anybody wants to comment? Very interesting question, I think.
I have a comment.
Okay, please.
So, to reply Atira's question, I think it depends because if you want to survive alone without communicating with others, I think you physically can, but you mentally cannot. You cannot be alone for very long time. I didn't talk to anyone unless you have a pet, like you can talk to the pet. But if you want to survive alone, I don't think it's possible, because you mentally feel stressed, and you will have I think in a long term you will have this mental illness. So I think I just want to say it all depends that somebody can survive alone and somebody cannot survive alone, and for me, I don't think I can survive being totally alone unless I have a pet. Then I can probably talk to my pet so I can survive. So yeah, this is my comment.
Okay, good. Anybody else? I give 2 persons. If you have if you want to comment on that before I give my comment. Anybody
I just
else?
want to add, because I read somewhere that in Japan, they have like their youth, most of their youth like to live alone. They don't even go out of their house, even before the pandemic happened in Japan.
But this is a community, right?
Sorry?
Is this a community, like isolated community, right?
No, it's like youngsters in Japan.
Okay.
In the rooms.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Anybody wants to comment on that?
Can I comment?
Yes, please, Samira.
I think the Japan one is a different situation because in Japan, you know there's people around you, but like on an island, you know there is nobody there. Like even if you need help or anything happens, you know that there'll be nobody there. And now we have like technology and also like even if those Japan people like have some kind of problem, you know, maybe they can like call their parents or like call police officers or something like that. But like on an island, I think it's very difficult for you to live a long time without going like mentally insane, like after a certain period of time.
Yeah. You know, even during this pandemic, actually, so many people get stressed and frustration because we cannot go outside to interact with one another. So I think I agree with both of you, Samira and Lynn, that it is, well, for me, basically, it is impossible for the long time because even for your life, for example, those young Japanese, actually, they still have, they still communicate with someone at least to get their food, you know, who gonna provide them food, but maybe they don't talk like intensely, but still they have communication one way or another. So they still have communicate with with the outsiders, maybe with their friends or their parents actually. So even though they stay in the room, well, now I give you then okay. So basically, that's I agree because I think I will explain a bit more in the next part regarding this. So basically, I cannot see that we really can live like too long without contact with others because even our basic necessity, everyday life, actually we still need someone else, you know, to provide it. We cannot really live totally on our own, you know, because even for our food or our clothes, for example, or whatever, actually we need from somebody else. So I think, again, a lesser to a greater degrees, we still need to interact with one another. We cannot really totally live alone, you know. That's my opinion. So I'm with you, like Finn and also Samira. Okay, I continue my the presentation then before we discuss further. So we have already this one. Now we come to the sociological concepts in understanding society. Anybody knows who of these 3% people, 3%? This is very well-known founding fathers of sociology. Anybody can identify who is who? Which one is who? No? You are not familiar, yeah? Okay, doesn't matter. Karl Marx, okay, this is on top on your, well, in my laptop, it's on top left hand, right? On top with the white bear. So this one, Karl Marx. How about this?
Lenin, maybe?
Nay, not Lenin. But you have a good guess anyway. How about this? The biggest one on the right. This is Max Weber, yeah. On the right is Max Weber, but this one, the left below is Emil Durkheim. Yeah, Emil Durkheim. Everybody taking sociology will know this. They call it Holy Trinity in sociology. This is the founding fathers of sociology: Karl Marx, Durkheim, and Max Weber and Karl Marx are Germany, and then Durkheim, French. Okay. To Plummer, in his book Sociology, the Basic, I think very interesting. If you want to read this, I think you find it very interesting. Sociology, the Basic, Plummer. Big issues such as rebellion, wars, revolutions, politics, and social transformation have been the concern of sociologists for a long time. Of course, this has become a subject matter for sociologists or for the study of sociology for a long time. But sociologists also analyze the social relations that lie behind ordinary everyday life, such as basketball shoes. I'm going to show you after this how sociologists look at the basketball shoes. Homelessness, popularity, social discrimination, sex, religious fanaticism, as well as ordinary things such as tomatoes, telephone, and toilets. So in this book, he explained there is a sociology of three T's. The three T's are tomatoes, telephone, and toilet. So everything, you know, a very ordinary, something that is like something simple, something from the sociological point of view. For example, if we talk about a tomato, for example, from the sociological point of view, we will see who are the people involved in, let's say, start from producing it, processing it, marketing it, and consume it. So many social interaction behind the tomato, actually. In the process of production, for example, it might involve like small farmers as well as big corporation in producing the tomatoes. And in that case, actually, it also may involve like exploitation if it is produced by a big farmers or corporation. So they employ the laborers, for example, that can we may find like social exploitation taken place of a tomato. And also in the processing from tomato to like sambal or sausage, you know, it involves like a big corporation. So of course there are so many complex social relations and social phenomena in that process of production of sausage, for example, and so on and so forth. So this is the kind, you know, when we when we look at from a sociological perspective, we see what kind who are peoples involved and what kind of relation among those people involved in the production, processing, marketing, consumption of the tomato. The same as well applied for the telephone and toilet. So, you know, this simple actually, when we analyze from the social perspective, actually it involved quite, you know, complicated social issues. For example, the telephone, it might involve like social structure. For example, who own the most advanced telephone, or now we talk about mobile phone, for example. For a while, I think up to now, those who can buy the most advanced the mobile phone, actually those who are middle or upper class, economically. So for those people in the villages, for example, poor farmers or poor fishermen, maybe they cannot, or maybe they don't need advanced sophisticated telephone or mobile phone. So this is from the consumers aspect of the telephone. And when we talk about the production process, again, it might involve like a big corporation who produce it, and many people actually involved in producing a mobile phone. The materials may be produced by there is a specialization maybe in producing this mobile phone. So it's not simple socially in terms of social of the telephones, the same as toilet as well. So this is a kind of how we perspective in understanding the things around us. So the sociology can study anything and everything, the big and the little things. We can study whatever actually, as long as it involves the social dimension, and most of the things actually involve social. Almost no things in the world actually exist without relation with human beings. So basically, we can study any object, sociologically, as I mentioned, the sociology of the three T's: tomatoes, telephone, and toilets. So I hope you remember at least the sociology of the three T's. It doesn't matter if you forget anything else, but please remember the sociology of the three T's: sociology of tomatoes, sociology of telephone, and sociology of toilet. Okay, the toilet. Anybody can tell me how a sociological perspective looking at the toilet? Can someone try? What kind of social things that happen or involved in the toilets? Okay, I stop share for a while. Can you think of? So, sociological perspective on toilet.
Is it regarding?
Yeah, Brian, please.
I will try to guess, sir. Is it going to be related to the gender, sir? How the society is being.
Can you okay. Can you your voice a little bit harder, please?
Okay, sir.
I heard already you talk about gender, okay?
Yeah. So I think it will be going to talk about the gender and how the society is being spread by the gender, sir. So.
Okay. So especially in public toilet, yeah, you have to separate between the according to the sex, yeah, male and female. Male always right?
Woman is.
I don't know.
Right.
Yes. Involved in the toilet.
Yes.
Sorry, I cannot hear your voice.
I think that's all, sir.
Okay. So anyone else want to try what other social dimension of the toilets?
Maybe I can add.
Okay. Yeah.
So like we used to think Asians like to use squat toilet. Is it like that? And then Americans, they don't. They use toilet papers. And Europe,
yeah,
to use bidets or something like that.
Yeah. That's one aspect. Yeah, how to use the toilet, and even the type of toilet. Like actually in Indonesia, I think it's quite recent development of the use of toilet. The toilet with, how you call it, you just sit down using the toilet, but usually we have what is jongkok in bahasa Inggris? I forget.
China?
Pardon me?
Tiongkok. Yeah. Are you saying Tiongkok?
Yeah. You know
China.
that, right?
China.
Huh?
China.
Okay. So this kind of, this culture related to toilet. so this is a kind of things when we use. And I saw one time in Japan, they make a very modern toilet that it is a transparent. We can see the inside when nobody use it, but when somebody use it, the light, the I don't know, the light, they play the light, we cannot, from outside, we cannot see the one who is inside the toilet, but the one inside the toilet still can see people outside. Very interesting, huh? But I just wonder, how do we know that people outside cannot see us inside? That's I think that's a big problem. Maybe I cannot, I'm not there enough to use that kind of. But this is a kind of modern technology that Japanese develop in their toilets as well. I remember when I was in Japan, they have so many button, and I pushed the wrong button. In my daughter is studied there, so. And in the morning, we go there with our daughter, and I push the wrong button, which the button actually is an emergency button. So the security just come from in front of the campus, come down to the to the back of the campus, because I put the wrong button. Actually, I want to push the splash button, but because so many and I don't understand, it's in Japanese character. So actually there is a English character, but I didn't pay detailed attention, so I just assume. So actually I pressed the wrong button, and the security just came, asked what happened, but they know already. This must be this Indonesian must be press the wrong button. So he just laughed. Did you press the wrong button? Yes. So this is a kind of culture and technology related to even to toilet, and also if we look at the development of society or community, like in Indonesia, you go to the simple community in the villages. Well, they use a very simple, and some of them even doing toilet still in the river, for example, or in the beach in some of the community. So this is also related to social development. And also, again, if we talk about how to produce this material for the toilet, actually it's also very complicated, involving many labors and also capital, and again and again it might happen exploitation one another in that process of production, and also in the process of like transportation from the factory to the consumer. So this is a lot of social dimension in the toilet. That's why Ken Plummer talk about sociology of three things: tomato, telephone, and toilet. So remember these three T's. Okay, let me continue. Is there any question from you? Okay, the last part, everything that is done by humans involves social aspect. So everything and anything can also be analyzed sociologically. So as long as the things involve human beings and social relation means that that phenomena can be analyzed sociologically. Okay, so you can see how this sociology can be applied in our daily life to understand the so many phenomena around us, and sometimes it's really affect our lives actually. This is the example, yeah, in that book, yeah, in the Robert G. Brim books. The title of the book actually written by Brim is Sociology, a Life or Death Issue. He called this sociology as the fifth dimension. He said that dimension on an object consists of length, width, depth, time. So this is usually we have this four dimension of the object, but he add social dimension, and he said seeing five dimension help people live longer and fuller lives. So actually, the ability of us to see from the fifth dimension in our daily life, actually, it can prolong our lives. It can make our life better because we understand like forces working around us that may, affect strongly our lives, our daily lives. So, and this is the definition of sociology according to Robert Brim. Sociology is a science that gives us the ability to see. Oh, okay, this is not the definition, but the function. Yeah, sociology is a science that gives us the ability to see this fifth dimension, the social dimension. Okay. Also, another sociologist named Peter Berger. Sociological perspective makes us see in a new way, enlightenment, the world in which we have lived so far. So we can see from a different understanding and perspective compare if we don't really, we never understanding the sociological theory. This is a transformation of consciousness, and consciousness itself is very important for human life, even as a condition for freedom. So consciousness is a condition for our freedom. And when we have a new enlightened consciousness, we understand what is happen around us, what sort of social power is working around us in the society, and that's kind of make us much better life actually, even maybe make our life longer as argued by Robert Brim. Now this is another example. If Ken Plummer give a treatise, yeah, tomato, telephone, and toilet. Robert Brim give us example of the basket shoes, yeah, and he explained about this from sociological perspective. Kobe Bryant actually already passed away, yeah. But before he passed away, he actually owned this business, Kobe Second Zoom. That's the name of the shoes, in collaboration with Nike. Now, in Robert Brim books, he talk about the social dimension of producing these basket shoes. Like it or not, you are part of society, and your action, how private they may seem, have consequences for others. So in many cases, like for example, in this case, the act of buying shoes, for example, actually, even though it seems very, very private that we choose to, let's say, to buy basket shoes like Kobe Second Zoom, for example, it has a consequences socially because now that's this is the explanation why. Oh, okay, because should be there is a missing information because actually in the book it is explained that the shoes actually produced in Indonesia using mostly women, young women, teenagers, and they work in a very bad environment without any ventilation, with very low payment, you know. So actually, this is a kind of exploitation happen behind the production of these shoes. So actually, when we buy the shoes, actually we actually contribute to the continuation of the process of exploitation of labor in Indonesia. You know, so now when we use sociology to portray this specific object, namely basket shoes, actually we can see something behind it, something negative, for example. Without using sociology, we may never thought that our very act to buy these shoes actually contribute to the continuation of social exploitation far away. If you buy it like in, because this is famous like in America, far away from America, here in Indonesia, sociologically speaking, there are many girls that work under a very poor conditions, and also they are paid very poorly. So this is definitely a kind of a social exploitation. So you know, it gives us a kind of more sensitive socially to think when we see or when we act in our daily life, you know, by looking at it from the sociological perspective. So you know, this kind of knowledge. That's why Robert Brim say this is the fifth dimension that may help us to make a better life. Okay, up to now, if you want to ask question or comment, you can ask question so far. Any comment or question regarding the shoes? No? Well, I just want to hear your voice. Anybody just say something? How about Kesa Cindy? Are you here? Hello, Kesa Cindy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any comment so far? Especially the last two slides?
No.
No? You
No.
sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let I ask you then. I can see that you wear a jacket, right, in your picture.
Right.
Now, okay. Now we talk about jacket then, because Cindy is wearing in her photo, yeah, wearing a jacket. Tell me, sociologically, what are the things or social phenomena around jackets? Cindy.
I think if we live in Jakarta,
Okay.
we wear the jacket, just trying to look good
Okay.
in society. But if we lived in, let's just say in Europe, then we're using it because it's cold. I think that's all.
Well, even in Europe, it can be also showing the social status, you know. social class, because jacket is not only one type of jacket. There are
Yeah.
jacket that is expensive and there are jacket that is cheap, right? So, okay. Anything else that you can think of?
I think that's all, sir.
Okay, actually there are many others sociological aspect of the jacket. So I'm gonna ask your friends, what do you think the social aspect, social phenomena around jacket? Let me see in my screen here. By the way, this class is sociologically speaking. This class is predominantly female, yeah. Only very few male here. Only Brian, Surya, Firdaus, and so predominantly female. Okay, let me check the male. Who are the male here? Or anybody wants to just comment about the jacket again? Oh, here we go. How about Bima Aji Wibowo? Bima Aji?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, can you make comment social dimension of jacket?
Of what jacket, sir?
Jacket, yes. What is jacket? What is jacket? Yeah, it's a coat. We call it here jacket. It's a coat.
Okay. What can I say, sir? Where in our society in Indonesia? Or
okay. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can do that.
I think my comments is pretty much the same with Keza Cindy before. We in Jakarta, yeah, we wear a jacket to look good, and it's a fashionable item, sir. It's a fashionable outer item.
Fashionable. Yeah. So we just want to. Are you sure that's the only function of the jacket?
Especially for the younger people, younger demographic.
Okay.
Beside the functional, beside the function that we use jacket to like protect ourselves from the cold or from the rain.
Right.
And, it's usually also fashionable.
Okay. That's one thing. Okay. Why don't anybody think about the process, production process of it? How about that? If you think about the production process, can you think? Well, this is I asked to someone else. Thank you, Satria. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask someone else. How about the production process of the coat or jacket? What kind of social phenomena involved behind this jacket or a coat when we talk about the production process? Anybody wants to comment? How about it's already like Nabila already put your finger on your head. I think so. I can see your expression that you already think about it. So what's your comment, Nabila?
Regarding the production processor?
Yes.
Maybe most of the, I think most like the jackets that has high brands are usually produced in countries that have lower wages, so that it can be it can be produced in a lower cost, and they can get more, what do you call it, income?
Profit.
Yeah, profit and income. So maybe it might affect the people working for it, like the workers for it. They may have lower wages and not may not be having sufficient income for themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, that's possible. Very possible. How about the gender issues?
For the workers?
Yeah.
Probably, as you mentioned before, just like the shoe, the Kobe to second shoe thing, maybe the workers are mostly underage or females, since they can't do hard labor and everything, and males are tend to work in a harder environment and stuff, and for the workers on this field are usually females, since they have actually better ketelitian, what do you call it?
Precision.
Yeah, precision. They have better precision, I guess.
Yeah. And we can see, if you go to Bandung, right, in Cianjur, there are several factories that employ mostly young women. So, this happen everywhere. So, well, thank you very much for those of you who make a comment, because I think that's a kind of social issue, social phenomena around the coat or jackets. So you can pick up anything, like from the sociology of the 3Ts, remember? You can pick anything and then you can analyze that sociologically. So when you analyze it sociologically, just think of first of all, of course, who involved, and then think about the social relations among those involved. And then think also about, when we talk about social relation, then you can also involve another things, like, for example, the social hierarchy, social class, the fame, and also the what you call it, the your prestige, for example, like this coat or jacket, it includes a prestige in it, So there are so many social dimension when we look at any object from the sociological perspectives. Anyone to ask question? Rehan, I can see you're like very serious, like a pilot there. Where are you, Rehan? You like in the what is it? Like in the airplane? Are you a pilot in that airplane, Rehan? Okay, you have any comment?
No,
Rehan?
sir. I guess I would just like to add, maybe we can see from the perspective of whether or not the jacket production hurts animals, or what was it? I already thought. Or does it like destroy the environment? Maybe pollute the the place around it, maybe, sir.
Okay. But in that case, I think you have to still look at from the sociological aspect. So when you say about the environment, and then we look at from the sociological aspect, I think one thing is social movement. There are some people who against the exploitation of animals, So this is the sociological aspect, the social aspect. So again, when we look at from sociological aspect, it is not enough just to look at the environment per se, You have to relate it to sort of a social dimension. So like, as I explained, you can look at the social movement, the conflict, because of that kind of using of animals. Because now there are many people, environmentalists, protect the human, the animals' rights. So this is a kind of a sociological aspect of that environment, actually. Okay, so I continue now because we have now 15. Okay, we have another 15 minutes, so I'm gonna talk quickly the rest of this. Okay, now we come to the very broad perspective in sociology. Basically, there are two main perspectives in sociology. The first one is we can call it more individual perspective, or some people call it actor perspective, which looking basically looking at the individual actor as the main determining a determinant of the social action, actually. So, and this is usually associated with Max Weber as the one of the founding fathers of the sociology, as I mentioned before. Basically, Max Weber emphasized the importance of individual person, individual actor in determining their social action. So that's why it is called sort of more individual perspective, or actor. Sometimes people call it actor perspective. This is the definition of sociology according to Max Weber. Sociology is a science concerning itself with the interpretive understanding. Actually, interpretive understanding is sort of individual interpretation, individual understanding of the things. So interpretive understanding of social action, in this case, because sociology is a science of society or social. So in interpretive understanding of social action, and thereby with a causal explanation of its course and consequences. So basically, what Max Weber say here is sociology actually is a science science that give explanation to social action, but based on understanding, individual understanding of the things. For example, as we discussed already, when we look at the jacket, for example, individual may look at it differently. It's depend on his perspective, his understanding. And so does the social action. You know, if you do something, people may interpret it or may understand it differently. So it's that kind of social action is a subject matter of sociology. Sociology is study of that kind of action that people give it an understanding, interpretive understanding of the social action. So again, once again, for example, social action, for example, fighting. Fighting is a social action. We can analyze it sociologically. If we want to understand this fighting, we have to understand what is the meaning of the fighting from the participant point of view. Maybe some people fight for their because they want to get like for their economic or livelihood, for example. Others may fight because they want to maintain their honor. You know, in some people in Indonesia, there is a culture of people fighting when they are what is it? When someone else doing that not honor them. So we have to understand this social action based on those participants' point of view. This is a kind of study of sociology according to Max Weber. We shall speak of action insofar as the acting individual attach a subjective meaning. So social action, the action here is understood as long as the individual who do that action give a subjective meaning to his or her behavior, be it offer or convert, omission or equations. So, and then action is social, because this is about social action, right? So action is social insofar as its subjective meaning takes account of the behavior of others and is thereby oriented to its course. So social action is an action that is given a meaning and then take into account of others. Example, like who was it? We talk about the jacket, yeah. For example, when you choose your now, because I see in my screen, I see Nabila, so I give Nabila as an example. Okay. Okay. If, for example, Nabila, before come to this lecture, choose your what are you wearing? You wearing jacket or not?
A sweater, sir.
A sweater. Okay. Now, okay. Nabila, choose a sweater. Maybe you have not only one sweater, I guess, but you choose this one, or no matter in that case. So you choose this sweater. If you do this choosing of sweater in your own room, but when you choose this, you take into account of others. For example, I choose this in order to be look good, for example, so it's already you think about others, what others think about me when I wear this sweater. Now, if that's a kind of action, even you do it in your own room, that's already a social action, because you give a meaning to what you are doing, choosing the sweater, and also you already take into account others people, what they are thinking about you when you wear this sweater. That's a kind of social action, even though once again, even though you are doing it your own in your in your own room, for example, but that's already become a social action. Okay, so that's the meaning of social action. So in this case, Max Weber is emphasizing the importance of social action by individual. That's why we call it individual perspective, because he emphasized the importance of individual in doing their social action. Okay, any question on that? Because we have left only 10 minutes, so I have to go in a hurry. But if you have question, what is the social action? You can ask me. I'll again explain if it is not clear yet. Okay, this is three types of social action according to Max Weber. Okay, four types. Sorry. One is traditional action, meaning that your action is based on tradition. For example, you go to the whatever, to ceremony, for example, because of the tradition. Then he called it traditional action, an action based on tradition, culture, tradition. The second is affective action. This is an action based on your emotion. For example, you are moved because you feel like, you feel so sorry for someone who is getting sick and so on and so forth. So you give a help, for example, you give a hand, or you give a ride to someone because you feel, what a pity that he has to, walking so far, for example. So you give a ride. So in that case, your action is a affective action because you do it based on your emotion. Okay, and then the third one is value oriented. Well, I make it simply, value rationality. Please, I think I have to a little bit revise this, become shorter. Value rationality. Value rationality action is a kind of action that based on your value system, but it's a rational. Max Weber call it value rationality. For example, because it is based on your beliefs, based on your, for example, based on your religion, that you need to help others, one another's, and then you help others. So this is based on your value. This is what Max Weber call it value rationality. So that's one kind of social action. And the last one is instrumental rationality type of action. Instrumental rationality is action that you take based on your calculation. If this is the best way to do, if this is the way to get something, and then you do that because of your calculation, rational calculation. That's why he call it instrumental rationality. So this is 4 types of social action according to Max Weber. Okay, wow, we have left only 6 minutes, so I have to run. Now, if the first one was individual, more individual perspective, the second one is more a structural, we call it structural perspective. Basically, I just want to make it shorter. The structural perspective is saying that argue that social action taken by someone or groups more determined by the structure, meaning by social forces. For example, because of the laws, because of the rules, because of the other peoples, when the social forces more or less force you to do something, that's a kind of structural perspective, which emphasize the importance of the structure in determining or influencing your action or your choice, for example. So I give you example. For example, again, who is it? I give you here very quick example. Okay. Camila. Okay, Camila. Let's say Camila is okay. You wearing I can really see. Okay. Anyway, whatever that you're wearing now, I can see that you wear jilbab, right? So if you are, let's say if you choose to wear a jilbab because of the environment, social environment, for example, so you feel, well, more or less you are forced to do so, so that's a kind of a structural perspective. But if you do it because based on your own, like your faith, your value, then this is the first one, the individual perspective. So, the social action, the same social action, we can analyze whether this is social structural perspective or the more of individual perspective. The two of the sociologists, Emile Durkheim and Karl Marx, emphasize the importance of structure in determining people's action. For example, Emile Durkheim called it social fact. For example, he called it the power of social, which coercive power of social, force you to do something. For example, including the suicide, according to Emile Durkheim. People suicide because of the social structure, forced from the social, not because of the personal characteristic. That's the way sociologists explain. That's the way Emile Durkheim explained suicide, because the norms around that person, for example, if the norm is strong enough, that can force someone to do the suicide, or the vice versa also. And also Karl Marx emphasized the role of a social class. So when you are in labor, as a labor, you are in a labor class, for example, you have a very different way of thought, way of thinking, way of behave, compared to the one who own the capital, or the owner of the factory, for example. So this is Karl Marx. He emphasized the importance of social class in determining people, or people action, or social action, or behavior. So that's a two perspective. Please don't forget these two perspectives. One is a more individual perspective. Example is Max Weber. And the second is the more structural perspective. Example, Emile Durkheim and Marx. For example, the social solidarity, as I mentioned, is a social structure that determines people behavior according to Emile Durkheim. He mentioned two types of the social solidarity, which determine. Okay, the last one is about research, but because I don't have time, so I think we'll talk about that quite briefly next week. Okay. So I think that is for the topic that I can discuss with you today.